Welcome to us being Poco A Poco. Hola, Gaetano, how are you?
I'm good, Tanya. Hey, too.
Muy bien.
Muy bien.
What are we going to be talking about today?
We're going to talk about Basilica de San Juan de Dios, the Basilica of John of God. And I will have to say, it's a little special to me because we went and saw it this summer on our Grand
Right.
Andalusian tour.
If you've heard
In
about our little summer episode where we talk about where we've been, this was one of the many beautiful places you visited during your
Yes,
summer tour.
it it was. It's in Granada, and it
Mm-hmm.
is a over the top Baroque church. We have talked about our Sistine Chapel of Valencia, the San Nicolas de Bari. That makes it look almost like it.
Like a toy.
Denmark, minimalism in Denmark. It
Right.
almost looks it's Scandinavian in design compared to this church.
So just to start out, in case anyone doesn't know, a basilica is a church that has received a special honorary title from the Pope for its historical, spiritual, or architectural significance. And a cathedral, on the other hand, is the principal church of a diocese and the seat of a bishop. So when we talk about
Right.
a basilica, that is what this is. It's like an extra special church. So let's start with the man, San
Who he
Juan,
was.
and who he
Yeah.
was. Yes. So he was born in 1495 in Montemor Onova in Portugal. And his name was
Let's see you stab at that. Should I go out? Should I do?
João Ciceda Duarte, something along those lines. Now you say it.
I was going to go with João Cidade Duarte.
Yeah, close-ish for two foreigners, I think. And he later obviously became San Juan de Dios, and
Right.
then he got his church.
But what's interesting about him is that he had a very tragic life. It's kind of a really sad story. He was at a young age, at like 8, he was orphaned. He disappeared from his family, and I guess the story goes that he was kidnapped or seduced from his home. We don't know. And then his mother died of heartache, and then his dad joined a religious order as a cleric to
Yeah, all very tragic.
all very tragic. And he was then homeless. He was a homeless orphan. Then he was taken in by a man named Francisco Mayoro, where he moved in with this man and became like a shepherd, and kind of that started his kind of
Mm-hmm.
life of wandering, I
Wandering and
guess.
traveling across Spain and North Africa, and yeah, I mean, a very very tragic childhood for sure.
And kind of a tragic life because he was a soldier, and then he went
Yeah.
back to shepherding, and I think he was a bookseller. I mean, I think
Mm-hmm.
he was doing a lot to find himself. And then he, I guess, became a devout Catholic, or transformed into kind of a religious person when he heard a sermon by John of Avila in Granada.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, he kind of had like what people thought was a mental breakdown, and started self-flagellation in the streets, and people were worried about him. And then this John of Avila heard about it and was the one that advised him that instead of beating yourself up for your past wrongs, how about helping others that are in need?
Generally, good advice, I would
I think
say.
so.
If you're feeling down, help others.
I
Because
think that's really good advice.
it's really good advice. At the very least, you'll be helping someone, and you'll probably feel a little better, afterwards. And he founded a hospital in part of that process, and
Mm-hmm.
and he was revolutionary for its compassion and inclusivity, which I'm sure at that time was something that was like, still special actually now, but probably back then too, very special in how he was helping people. He
Mm-hmm.
did also tragically die of pneumonia in 1550 on his 55th birthday, March 8th, after rescuing a drowning man. So, he died not the life one would be wishing upon
No.
anybody, but it does sound like he did a lot of good during his life.
And he
So,
died doing good.
and he died
Right? Like
doing good. Good
that's
lord.
so sad. I know. And
So
then
yeah, so he was beatified in 1638 by Pope Urban the Eighth and canonized in 1690 by Pope Alexander the Eighth also, and declared the patron saint of hospitals and nurses, which makes sense.
which is it's very befitting,
Very
yes.
befitting. Yes.
And then the order is the Brothers Hospitallers of St. John of God, which is a worldwide organization that Much smaller now as these things are dwindling, but they are still worldwide and have work in hospitals and
Okay.
the care of sick people.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then in the 1700s, they built a basilica in his honor. And the idea being that all of his faith and everything that he meant that he had projected into his life was translated into architecture, which we can only imagine, therefore, was a lot.
Yes. So it really is a lot, right? So the church it started being built in 1737 and it took 22 years to complete.
Mm-hmm.
And the architect was Jose de Bada y Navajas. And he also worked on the Granada and Malaga cathedrals.
Okay.
And maybe another day we'll talk about the
Yes.
cathedral in Granada, because I did see that one too.
Was it as elaborate?
Not at all. Nowhere
This
near.
one is, I believe this one is quite special in its level of elaborateness.
It
is it not?
It is insane. It
Okay.
is insane. You walk in and it is just gilding and stuff everywhere. To be honest, I would love to go back to this church, because I think you could spend 3 days just staring at one wall and finding new things in that wall. It is it's a Where's Waldo gone insane. There's just
I felt that
so
way
much
about the church here, and it's a fraction of the size. So if you're really, really into that kind of thing, it would require several visits, because I think the first visit to these types of places are just completely overwhelming. And then you need to come back with the knowledge of what it's like and start looking at things.
And I wouldn't say that the one here is the fraction of the size. It's a fraction of the gaudiness, if that makes sense. Because this basilica is not a huge church. It's large, but it's on par with the size of the one here. It's a little bit bigger, but it's not a grand space.
It's not as grand.
It's like huge.
Yes.
Yeah. It just
so this church has a really beautiful outside. It has a proper church looking outside.
Right.
Whereas we spoke a little bit about the one here that really doesn't have that. You kind of walk in through an alleyway and suddenly you're in the middle of it. So this one has the oomph that you want walking up to the church, and then you walk in.
But you can easily walk past it, because it does look like just a church, if that makes sense. It's really, it's the inside. So I had found it because I was just Google mapping, and I was like, when I highlighted an area, like that little circle on Google Maps came up, I was like, well, what's that thing? And I was like, I think we should walk a few blocks and just see this thing.
Right. And just see, maybe it's something else. So the architectural style is Spanish Baroque. And I'm going to pronounce this word completely incorrectly because it's way too long to get my head around. Churrigueresque. Anyway.
Sure, I guess. I had it pronounced so well earlier, and now
did you? I messed it up for you.
Cursed me. Yes.
Churrigueresque. Anyway, ornate, emotional, symbolic, and it encompasses the Baroque theology of beauty being the pathway to the divine, which is, and then the facade has the Sierra Nevada marble. It has the beautiful twin towers and the slate spires. It is a beautiful outside. It is a beautiful church, and a little ornate on the outside too. I mean, nothing like the inside, but I mean, as far as it's not a plain outside, you kind of get a little bit of a feeling looking at it that there's a lot of effort has been putting into the decor overall in architecture.
Yes.
And then you go inside.
And it is gold. You know what it's like? It's like that scene in Pulp Fiction when they open up the briefcase and it's just that gold glow on their face. Do you remember that scene? So you walk in and you walk into the gift shop, pay your ticket, and then there's this lobby room, the tables, and it's got stuff in there. And then when you walk into the church, the way they have you walk in, you kind of walk in behind the altar. Yeah. And when you walk in, it is that gold glow at your face. It's like, where's my sunglasses? This is just gilding gold everywhere.
Gold, I haven't seen gold to that level inside churches, but obviously gold is used a lot overall as a metaphor for divine glory and for opulence, and where you're putting your money and everything you have and presenting it to God. So it makes sense, but the extent of it here is obviously a whole other level.
Yes.
Should we call it a visual overload? Is that accurate?
I think that's putting it nicely. Or subtly. That's a subtle thing.
That's a subtle way of putting it. Do you want to describe the main part
Yeah, so you
A
walk
little
in
bit.
the main nave, it's gilding beyond, like as we've said, the main altar, the retablo, was designed by Jose Francisco Guerrero, and it is just very tall. It is gold, and the gold surrounds the whole nave, and it is just saints and mirrors all set into it, like, and there's
Mm-hmm.
tons of lights in the church that at one time, I'm assuming, were candles hanging, like all the chandeliers are now all electric light, and it just, the light bounces around the room
Mm.
crazy, right? And then
Okay.
there's a silver tabernacle, so just
Oh,
to
there's
break the
silver in
eye from,
there.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, to break the eye
One little silver thing,
yeah, to
just to make a point.
yes. And then there's a Virgin Mary that's carved wood, and there's a lot of carved wood that's then laid with gold leaf on top of it too, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how they're creating this thing. But it's very ornate. And then also, what when you're in there in the nave, there's kind of like a catwalk that goes around too, that
Okay.
you get to walk around and get like a different view of the church as well.
Okay.
Um,
That's nice.
and then when you're in it, behind the altar, you go upstairs, is the Cameron, which houses the relics of him, which they will say it. I've heard it word in tour guides as it is a more serene room, and it's tiled and softly mirrored.
Is it
That would
though?
be like, that's relative to what you saw on the other side, because it is not serene and soft. It's less ornate, but way over the top. And but
Right.
you'll see his bones and and all these other bones and teeth and
Oh,
all.
oh, so you can see it. Okay.
Oh yeah, the relics are everywhere, and there's over 180 other martyrs and saints that have relics in the church, and it's not just in the
180?
Camarine.
180. Does
Yeah.
it look like 180? Because that's a substantial amount for one
So it's
church, I
not the
would
full
think.
skeletons. You'll find a finger bone here, you'll find a
Okay,
leg
right.
bone there, and they're hidden even in the nave of the church. They're hidden in the wall, like in the side chapels. You'll look,
Right.
and like I said, your eye, you have to stand still for a while and then let your eyes adjust to what's all in front of you. And then you're
Mm-hmm.
like, is that a foot? Is that a is that a
Oh, so they're not
skull?
all in little urns and little things. They're
No, they're in
actually.
glass cases.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yes, that's maybe that's not my thing.
It's very macabre. I mean, it is kind of Phantom of the Opera in there. It really is. I mean, the place really is theatrical. I mean, and
Yeah.
that is the Baroque thing, right? That the sacred intimacy is blended with,
Mm-hmm.
the theatrics of it all, right? To
Yeah. But that's
it's
amazing though. I think 180 is that seems a lot. That then that's obviously this basilica is a very important place for them
yes,
to be putting
yes.
that many in there. Yeah.
And it is almost like a mosaic of golden skeletons, but it's not like you walk in, you don't see the skeletons right away. You don't see that. It's
Yeah.
when you walk past, you're like, oh, there it is. And I will be honest, part of the reason why we chose this is because on the Google images
Of course you did.
there was this glass case of a skull and like some bones underneath it. And
If
as
you
you know, me and
know
my
if you know
youngest
him at
daughter,
all, yes, is that they love this stuff and we differ slightly in this regard.
and so we went in, and then we were like, let's hunt for the skeletons. And then it was like,
Right.
oh, we don't, there's not much hunting to do. They're kind of everywhere.
Absolutely.
But it's not like that church I think it's in the Czech Republic, that's made out of skeletons. It's not like
That's
that,
no,
you
it's not. I
know.
mean, because this is way more ornate. That one is really like the decor is the skulls,
Right.
whereas
Yeah.
this
That's,
one is very ornate, and you could maybe possibly even miss it if you were just kind of glancing around. Because there's
right.
also side chapels and some hidden art as well. So that as you'll know in all of these churches and basilicas and stuff, there's always like the main seems to always be like a main area of the church and then these sort of side chapels, and
Mm-hmm.
these ones are dedicated to San Rafael, San Miguel, and the Virgin of Belen,
Mm-hmm.
and it is decorated by Granada's top 18th century artists as well, and so very again just more elaborateness. And
Yes.
they didn't, and it does again seem to be a place that was they took in everything. They took in the most, the most famous artists. They brought in, so much gold and everything to really just make it spectacular in the most way that's possible.
And there's
Yeah.
frescoes in the ceiling, so it's not just gold. There's painting
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. I mean, it is breathtaking. I
Yes.
say anyone who's going to Granada, you got to see it.
You've got to see it. Yeah.
You've got to see it. Give yourself an hour to tour it. You could spend, like I said, all day in there, but it is
amazing.
Well worth it. Yes.
Well worth it. Yes. So speaking of chapels, there is a chapel of San Juan de Dios as well, which is a sculpture of him aiding a sick man, which obviously is very appropriate. But I think that would be something that would be nice to see, because that's a part of the whole basilica that is about, I mean, obviously it's all about him, but that's something that's really reflecting him. And there's also a chapel of the Archangel Raphael, which is paintings of miracles and ascension. So a lot of that. Is there anything from your experience of actually being there? Are there any kind of special things that you would say, don't miss this if you visit?
There's a couple things. So like what I had said, when you walk in, you're actually entering like through the rectory. You're entering through the back of the church. You're not entering through the front doors of the church. And if you go through the nave and enter, go to where the front lobby is of the church, as it were the entrance, that is a gorgeous dark wood carved room.
Oh, wow.
Ceiling, walls, everything. It's very dark. And the wood, the design of the wood is breathtaking.
Wow.
The artistry of that. And then what's also interesting is when you go upstairs, the side stairwells in the rectory, not as ornate, but there is so much artwork and statues and just so much to see. It's just there's just so much to to take in.
I imagine you can do an audio tour. You can usually of these sorts of places, don't you think?
It comes with your ticket. Yeah,
okay.
When you buy your ticket, you get the audio tour, and it comes in 75. I'm looking. I don't know, about 75. It comes in a bunch of different languages, and it was very informative, and it was a lot. And you could press. You didn't have to do it in order. You could just press the buttons of I'm at
So
this
I
part.
lost the mark when I did it in the one here. I did the audio, and there was a point where I just couldn't follow where we were by looking. I just couldn't keep. It's like, look at the cherub up there, and I'm looking up, and I'm like, there's 100 cherubs. Now I don't know where I'm looking. So I don't know. I'm hoping. I'm probably partly 99% my problem, but you kept track of it, and it was a good audio.
Well, this one was better because they had little numbers in front of like each section. Like you press this number into the audio guide, and it tells you what you're seeing. So you can walk in your own order. But what they also have there, which was very amazing, cool, awesome, was they have a virtual reality headset thing. And it's in the nave. You sit down, it's on the ground floor. You sit down, you put the headset on. And my friend who, Lori, I'm going to give you a shout out because there's a special place reserved for her because she videoed me with the headset on, and I look like a complete idiot because my head's going around and I'm turning around.
Okay, I'm supporting her. You have to take a video of that.
and you are literally flying through the church on this thing. Like you look up and you can walk up and you're up in you can see the ceiling artwork up close.
That's what I need.
It's so worth it. And then at 6 p.m. they do an elaborate light show similar to the one they do here, but just again more over the top.
But that one is, if it's like the one here, then if you haven't listened to that Poco A Poco, it is highlighting certain areas and talking about them, probably so that you can see sections rather than seeing the whole thing, which is
right.
Very
and
cool.
They do it a little bit more like Vegas light showy too, right? There's a lot of it's very theatrical as well.
I love it. That's great.
That's at 6 p.m. But what's an FYI, you can come back at 6 to see. You don't have to plan your visit around the light show. So if you go in the morning and you're still in the neighborhood at 6, you can go back and they let you back in to see the light show. Oh, that's nice.
Okay, that's a good thing to know. Little tip there.
Yeah.
So well worth a visit. I think that pretty much well, you know a lot more about it, but now everyone else has to go visit to get the kind of knowledge base that you have on this basilica.
Yeah, I don't know how much knowledge I brought, but I brought excitement to the table.
So. Yes, absolutely. Well, I can't wait to go visit once I make it down there. So I think that's the end of it.
That's the end of it. Hasta luego, Tanya.
Hasta luego. Till the next one. Bye. Thank you for listening to Our Spain Poco A Poco. Since you love us so much, please do go on to our social media and follow us and like us and subscribe where you're listening, because it really does help us to grow and stick around and do what we are very much enjoying doing.
And, give us a shout out on the social medias. Give us a comment on what you would like to hear us talk about? I mean, we like to hear ourselves speak, but we do want to make this, informative for our listeners.
Absolutely, yeah. You can comment on one of our posts, or you can send us a message through our Spain Facebook page or Instagram. So we would love to hear from you.
Yes, we would. Till the next episode.
Bye.